The Gambia Ports Authority is currently implementing an ambitious ports transformative project aimed at enhancing the operational efficiency of Banjul ports. The port is battling landing and congestion problems, and these are impeding its operational efficiencies and competitiveness. GPA has now developed an inventive three-pronged approach to the problems as it searched for short, medium, and long-term solutions. Here is Maud El-Baji with the details.
The Gambia Ports Authority has set on a transformative project aimed at improving the operational efficiency of the port. The port is struggling with berthing and congestion issues, and these are having ripple effects on both the economy and businesses. Gambia Ports Authority said it has devised a three-pronged creative decongestion strategy with a view to enhancing the port's operational efficiency. The Banjul port is witnessing an upsurge in the volume of traffic, and this increased activity is causing congestion for containers and accommodation problem for ships. Usman Jobate is the managing director of the Gambia Ports Authority.
The year-on-year growth in terms of the volume that was handled in Banjul, the 10 years preceding 2017 was on an average annual of 7%. But between 2017 and December December 2018, we have realized a surge in traffic. To the extent that the volumes handled in Banjul were up to an 18% growth. We did a market survey and tried to analyze why there was this jump in the volume, because the belief was that these are backlog that were coming to Banjul because of the pandemic. But we realized from our survey that there were new entrants in the market, and the transit business alone had grown by more than 102%. And this is in line with the growth indicators for the macroeconomic growth indicators published by the Ministry of Finance, that there is renewed confidence in the market as a result of a new political dispensation, and people have more confidence in the market. Transit alone, for example, goes to places where there is stability and streamlined administrative processes. That's why Banjul will continue to experience a surge in traffic. Now, that matched with the facility we have is why there is the congestion, because the volumes have physically outgrown the space that is available, both in terms of the ship's accommodation, that's the berths we have, and the terminal areas that are available for storage of containers. In a typical scenario, the port has a quay length of 300 meters and can handle 2 container ships simultaneously. And the yard areas we have is 63,000 square meters of open storage, and normally should take a volume of 1,600 thereabouts containers. But on a typical day, anytime...
So what are the port authorities doing about this increase in volume of traffic?
Immediately, yes. Let me start with the long term first, because if you have a constraint in capacity, you can only do expansion. And what we have done is we have commissioned a new master plan in 2019, and it was approved by Cabinet in July 2019. And 3 fundamental recommendations were made, because the consultants, they investigated the possibility of relocating the port to the southern coastline of the country in search of deeper water, as against expansion in Banjul. But they came to the primary recommendation that it does not make a strong business case to build a new port facility somewhere around between Bigelow and up to Tojereng along that coastline. The initial investment will be more than $500 million just to build the groin, to have a sheltered anchorage, not talking about the wharves and the ancillary support infrastructure. Now, they came to the conclusion that based on the demand forecast for the port, that is the market survey, for the next 20 years, it makes a business sense to develop the facility in its present location in Banjul. So with that, 3 components were identified urgently. One is to extend the ship's accommodation, that's the jetty, by 345 meters so that we can handle.
Meanwhile, there is a growing public concern about congestion at the ports. But how is the GPA dealing with this?
Yes, what we have done for the 3 components, to start with the jetty extension, we ran a public tender to invite construction companies for the pre-qualification method. Now, 18 international firms had submitted bids and were on the verge of selecting a short list of a minimum of 6 so that they will be invited to do the full design for the next stage of the tender. But alongside, we're running a parallel procurement method to do what we call the environmental social impact assessment and the geotechnical investigations, because these are marine installations. And for contractors to be able to submit a design, they require some baseline data, and this is generated by way of the impact assessment and the geotechnical investigation. So we are running that system also parallel, such that by the time we go to the next stage of the tender, the contractors would have had the full information that is required so that they can prepare their design and submit a proposal for the wharf extension. That is on course, and we expect that by the second half of this year, we would have achieved substantial progress in that.
Meanwhile, GPA believes the current decongestion efforts will both improve the operational efficiency and competitiveness of the ports. For Star TV, I am Modu El Baji.